The vast reaches of space had long been dominated by the Galactic Empire, a civilization spanning thousands of star systems that had ruled unchallenged for over 10 millennia. Their ships were massive, their technology advanced, and their arrogance boundless. In their 10,000 years of expansion, they had incorporated hundreds of alien species into their domain. Some joined willingly, others through force, but all eventually bowed to imperial might. Then they found Earth. Admiral Thomas Gray stood at the viewport of Earth Defense Force headquarters, gazing at the stars. The holographic display beside him showed the approaching imperial vessels, enormous constructs that dwarfed humanity's largest ships. His weathered face remained impassive, but his eyes narrowed slightly. "How long until they reach communication range?" he asked. Lieutenant Park checked her displays. 3 hours, sir. Their approach vector suggests a non-aggressive posture, but they've deployed screening vessels in attack formation. Gray nodded. Typical. They want to talk, but they want us to see their strength first. He turned to the room filled with Earth's military leadership. Humanity has never encountered the Empire before, but our deep space probes have gathered enough intelligence to understand their methods. They conquer through intimidation when possible, and force when necessary. General Wilson, head of ground forces, leaned forward. "Our options, Admiral." "We negotiate in good faith," Gray said, while preparing for the worst. Humanity has something the Empire has never encountered. A species whose entire history is marked by warfare and constant technological evolution driven by conflict. The room fell silent. Earth had unified only 50 years prior, after centuries of war had nearly destroyed the planet. The peace that followed brought unprecedented cooperation and technological advancement. Faster than light travel had been achieved just 15 years ago, and humanity had begun to spread to nearby star systems. As predicted, the Imperial envoys arrived with grand displays of their technological superiority. Their ships engaged artificial gravity fields to hover over Earth's major cities, a calculated intimidation tactic. The Imperial ambassador, a tall blue-skinned being named Dorn, met with Earth's leaders in the Global Council chambers. His smile never reached his 6 eyes. "The Eternal Empire welcomes humanity to the galactic community," Dorn announced, his translation device conveying his words with perfect clarity. "Your species has shown remarkable progress. The Emperor himself has taken notice and offers you the privilege of peaceful integration into our domain." President Chen maintained a diplomatic smile. "We appreciate the Emperor's interest in Earth. Humanity is eager to establish peaceful relations with all galactic civilizations." "Excellent," Dorn replied. "Our integration protocols are quite efficient. We will require only minimal adjustments to your governmental structures. Imperial overseers will, of course, need to be installed to ensure proper adherence to Imperial law." Admiral Gray, standing behind the President, stepped forward. "Perhaps the ambassador misunderstands. We seek friendly relations, not subjugation." Dorn's expression hardened. "The Empire does not subjugate. We elevate. All species benefit from Imperial guidance." "And if we prefer to maintain our independence?" Gray asked. "History shows that resistance to Imperial integration is unwise," Dorn said, his voice dropping. "Surely your species values peace over conflict." Gray allowed himself a small smile. "Ambassador, humanity has known very little peace throughout our history. What we value is freedom." That evening, as the Imperial delegation returned to their ships, Gray activated Earth's defense network. Stealth satellites tracked the Imperial vessels, while hidden military bases worldwide prepared for what might come. "Transmit our message to all colonies and outposts," Gray ordered. "Code Omega. The Empire doesn't know what humans are capable of. Let's hope they never have to find out." In orbit, Ambassador Dorn informed Imperial Command that the humans would require a demonstration of Imperial power. Like all primitive species, they would learn their place in the cosmos. Little did they know, humans had been teaching this lesson for millennia. just never to anyone from beyond the stars. 3 days after the tense first meeting, Imperial Commander Drell paced the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Dominion *. His scaled fingers tapped impatiently against the command console as he reviewed the intelligence reports on the human species. Primitive weapons systems, limited space presence, no unified defense strategy, he muttered, scrolling through the data. Yet they refuse our generous offer. His second-in-command, Officer Tark, approached with caution. Commander, the scout reports indicate unusual activity at the human military installations. Meaningless, Drell said, dismissing the concern with a wave. Every species displays defiance before accepting reality. The humans will learn, as all others have. Tark hesitated. There is one report you should see, Commander. Our cultural analysis team has noted something concerning about human history. What could possibly concern us? Drell scoffed. Their entire recorded history consists of warfare. Unlike other species who fight over resources or territory, humans often fight over ideas, and they adapt with remarkable speed. Drell's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of irritation. Is that supposed to impress me? The Empire has conquered warriors before. What we need is a demonstration. Select a small human colony for the lesson. Yes, Commander. The Imperial fleet moved silently toward New Haven, humanity's first extrasolar colony. With just 30,000 inhabitants and minimal defenses, it was an ideal target to demonstrate Imperial power without significant loss of life, a standard tactic that had worked countless times before. As the Imperial ships entered the colony system, Commander Drell prepared his victory speech. His words would be broadcast throughout Earth's communication network after a brief surgical strike that would cripple but not destroy the settlement. Commander, the sensor officer called out, we're detecting unusual energy signatures around the colony. Defensive shields? Drell asked, unconcerned. No, sir. Something else. And there are objects moving toward our fleet at high velocity. Drell leaned forward. Show me. The display revealed dozens of small craft emerging from hidden bases on New Haven's moon and asteroid belt. They moved with surprising speed and precision, following erratic patterns that confused the Imperial targeting systems. Those aren't colonial defense craft, Tark said, his voice tight. Those are Earth military vessels. Admiral Gray's fleet. Impossible. Our intelligence showed Earth's fleet was in their home system, Drell shouted. The first human missile struck an Imperial cruiser before their shields could adapt. The explosion tore through the ship's hull, splitting it in half. 3 more Imperial ships fell in quick succession. Return fire, Drell ordered, but the human vessels moved too quickly, evading the Imperial energy weapons with ease. From his command ship, Admiral Gray watched calmly as Earth's forces executed the battle plan perfectly. Transmit the message, he ordered. On the Eternal Dominion's bridge, a human transmission cut through the chaos. A single word appeared on every screen. Run. They knew we were coming, Tark whispered. This was a trap. Drell's pride crumbled as he watched half his fleet destroyed in under 10 minutes. The remaining ships were in disarray, their formation broken, their commanders pleading for orders. Retreat, he finally ordered, his voice hollow. Return to Imperial space immediately. As the Imperial ships fled, Admiral Gray stood surrounded by his officers on the bridge of the EDF Resilience *. They'll be back, he said quietly, and in greater numbers. General Wilson nodded. Will the defense network be ready? It will have to be, Gray replied. Activate Phase 2. If the Empire wants war with humanity, we'll show them why our history books are filled with the names of empires that no longer exist. Across the galaxy, Imperial Command received Drell's distress signal. The Emperor himself reviewed the battle footage with growing concern. It seems, he said to his advisors, that we have found something new in the cosmos. Prepare the Armada. The Imperial War Council gathered in the Grand Chamber of the Emperor's Palace. Holographic displays showed the full might of the Empire's response fleet. Over 300 warships, including 5 planet crackers, vessels capable of shattering a world's crust with concentrated energy beams. Emperor Vex, his ancient face barely visible beneath ceremonial armor, addressed his generals. This human resistance ends now. 10,000 years of imperial rule will not be challenged by primitives who have barely left their homeworld. Fleet Admiral Gorn bowed deeply. The attack force is ready, Your Eternal Majesty. We will crush these humans and add their worlds to your glorious domain. Far from this gathering, on the edge of human space, Admiral Gray stood before the combined leadership of Earth and its colonies. The room was tense but focused. The Empire is mobilizing their main battle fleet, Gray announced, pointing to intelligence reports. Their response is exactly what we predicted. Overwhelming force applied directly. They have no concept of what they're facing. President Jen frowned. The loss of life will be significant if they reach Earth. They won't, Gray said simply. Operation Hornet's Nest begins now. Throughout human territory, military vessels disappeared from their bases. Mining ships vanished from asteroid fields. Civilian craft altered their transponder signals. What had appeared to be scattered, disorganized human defenses suddenly transformed into a coordinated web of movement. The Imperial Armada entered human space with confident precision. Their formation was perfect, a testament to thousands of years of military doctrine. They expected to find confused defenders scrambling to protect their worlds. Instead, they found nothing. Where are they? Demanded Commander Varel, leading the vanguard. Scans show no significant military presence. His question was answered when the first Imperial scout ships began exploding. Small, fast human vessels appeared from hiding places within asteroid fields and gas giant rings. They struck quickly, then disappeared again. Insignificant pests, Vrul muttered. Press forward. The deeper the Imperial fleet moved into human territory, the more resistance they encountered. Human ships used the terrain of space itself, hiding behind planets, using gravity wells to accelerate beyond Imperial weapons tracking capabilities, and deploying mines disguised as debris. On the command carrier Indomitable Will Admiral Gray monitored the Imperial advance. Spring the trap, he ordered. Throughout the sector, abandoned human mining equipment suddenly activated. Massive drills and plasma cutters, repurposed as weapons, tore into the sides of Imperial ships. Automated cargo haulers rammed smaller vessels at speeds that transformed them into kinetic weapons. The Imperial fleet, designed for formation battles against conventional opponents, found itself fighting shadows. Their rigid command structure became their weakness. Officers waited for orders while humans made split-second decisions in the field. Commander Varel watched in horror as his perfectly arranged fleet dissolved into chaos. This isn't warfare, he sputtered to his bridge officers. It's madness. Across human space, the pattern repeated. Imperial forces would push forward, only to be attacked from unexpected angles by unconventional weapons. When they turned to engage, the humans would vanish, only to strike elsewhere. On a secure channel, Gray received an unexpected transmission. The face that appeared wasn't human. It belonged to a species called the Kaldar, long subjugated by the Empire. Admiral Gray, the alien, said, "I am Resistance Leader Mox. There are many within the Empire who suffer under their rule. We have information about Imperial fleet movements, defense codes, and supply lines." Gray leaned forward. "You're willing to help us. The Empire has crushed rebellion for millennia, but never have we seen them bleed as they do against humans. We will help you if you help free our worlds." As the transmission ended, Gray turned to his staff. "The game has changed. We're not just defending Earth anymore. We're taking the fight to them." Across Imperial space, whispers spread of the human resistance. Species that had lived under Imperial control for centuries began to watch and wonder. The giant that had slept for 10,000 years was facing something it had never encountered before. an enemy that didn't play by its rules. Emperor Vex sat motionless on his throne as the reports of defeat after defeat scrolled across the holographic displays. 3 months had passed since the first engagement with humans, and the mighty Imperial war machine was bleeding. "How?" he finally asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "How does a species confined to a single sector inflict such damage?" High General Krell stepped forward, his ceremonial armor dented from recent combat. "Your Majesty, we have discovered disturbing information about human warfare. They are unlike any species we have encountered." "Explain," the Emperor demanded. "Most civilizations develop weapons as needed. Humans, they never stop. Even in times of peace, they prepare for war. Their military technology evolves constantly, and they learn with frightening speed." The Emperor's eyes narrowed. "Are you saying they are adapting our own technology?" "Worse, Your Majesty. They're improving it. Across the galaxy, on the newly established forward base on Proxima Station, Admiral Gray inspected the latest human advancements. Engineers had successfully integrated captured Imperial shield technology with Earth's more efficient power systems. The result was a defensive capability that required half the energy but provided 30% more protection. "How soon can we deploy these to the fleet?" Gray asked. Chief Engineer Lopes wiped grease from her hands. "First units are already installed on the * Defiance * and * Retribution *. Full fleet deployment within 2 weeks." Gray nodded, then turned to a group of officers studying Imperial ship designs. "And the weak points?" Commander Reeves pointed to the holographic model. "Their power distribution nodes are centralized, more efficient but vulnerable. One precision strike here." He indicated a spot near the rear of the Imperial capital ships, "and their weapons systems lose 60% capacity." "Good work," Gray said. "And our new allies?" Intelligence Officer Martinez activated a different display showing dozens of alien species. "The Kaldar resistance has been joined by 6 other major species. They're providing intelligence and sabotage within Imperial territory. 2 Imperial supply depots have been destroyed from within." Gray allowed himself a small smile. The Empire made a critical mistake. They thought their technology would guarantee victory. They forgot that humans have been finding ways to defeat superior forces throughout our history. Meanwhile, on New Terra, Earth's second colony world, doctors examined captured Imperial soldiers. Dr. Williams addressed the research team. "Their biology reveals interesting weaknesses. Imperial species evolved in environments with minimal radiation. Their cellular structure is damaged by levels we consider acceptable. This explains why our tactical EMP weapons have been so effective against their troops." Across human space, factories that once produced civilian goods now manufactured weapons and ships. Children studied Imperial language and tactics in schools. Everyone had a role in what had become humanity's first interstellar war. In Imperial space, the High Council gathered for an emergency session. Fleet reports showed increasing unrest on dozens of worlds as news of human victories spread through carefully hidden resistance networks. "The situation is deteriorating," Admiral Thorne announced. "We must commit the Imperial Guard to this conflict." Murmurs filled the chamber. The Imperial Guard had not been deployed in full strength for 3,000 years. Emperor Vex raised his hand for silence. "So be it. Deploy the Guard. I want these humans broken, their worlds taken, their species taught the lesson that 10,000 years of Imperial rule has taught all others." As the council dispersed, High General Krell approached the Emperor privately. "Your Majesty, there is something else you should know. The humans have a saying that has spread throughout their forces and now to our subjugated worlds." "What saying?" the Emperor demanded. "The Empire never had war with humans before. Now they know why we warned them to run." The Emperor's face hardened. "Prepare my personal battlecruiser. I will oversee this campaign myself." Back on Proxima Station, Admiral Gray received word of the Imperial Guard's deployment. He called an immediate meeting of Earth's military command. "The real war begins now," he told them gravely. The Empire has called its best. But remember, humanity has faced extinction before and survived. We don't just fight with weapons, but with the collected knowledge of thousands of years of warfare. He activated a display showing Earth's newest ships, built with a combination of human ingenuity and adapted Imperial technology. Operation Thunderstrike is now in effect. We're taking the fight to their core worlds. The Imperial Guard battle station, Eternal Vigilance, hung in orbit around Nexus Prime, the oldest of the Empire's core worlds. Its massive ring structure housed 10,000 elite soldiers and hundreds of fighter craft. For 3 millennia, no enemy had dared approach a world protected by such a fortress. Commander Ardak stood at the command center, his decorated uniform reflecting his 300 years of service. "Status report," he ordered. "All systems nominal, Commander. Defense grid at full power. No unusual activity in the sector." Ardax nodded with satisfaction. Let the humans come. Here they would learn the true meaning of Imperial might. The alert klaxons began to blare exactly 6 minutes later. Multiple warp signatures detected. The sensor officer shouted, "Coming in from everywhere." Ardax stared in disbelief as the tactical display showed human ships appearing simultaneously from every direction. This wasn't a battle fleet. It was an invasion force. "Impossible," he whispered. "How did they penetrate our border defenses?" Across the Nexus system, similar scenes unfolded at 7 other core worlds. Operation Thunderstrike had begun. Admiral Gray stood on the bridge of the EDF Determination *, humanity's newest flagship built with reverse-engineered Imperial technology. Beside him stood Mox, the Kaldar resistance leader who had provided the warp coordinates that allowed the human fleet to bypass the Empire's outer defenses. "The jump was successful," reported Captain Rivera. "All battle groups report successful emergence. Minimal detection until final approach." Gray nodded. "Begin the attack. Remember the plan. We're not here to destroy worlds. Target military installations only." The human fleet moved with precision that shocked the Imperial defenders. Where Imperial tactics relied on overwhelming force applied to a single point, humans attacked from multiple angles simultaneously, forcing the defenders to split their attention. On Nexus Prime, civilians watched in awe as human ships engaged the Imperial Guard directly above their capital city. Many had never seen the Guard in actual combat. The Empire's elite warriors were usually an unstoppable force that crushed resistance before it began. But against the humans, they were struggling. In the Imperial Palace on Nexus Prime, Planetary Governor Trell received reports of simultaneous attacks across 7 worlds. "This is coordinated insanity," he shouted at his staff. "No species has ever attacked the core worlds directly. Contact the Emperor immediately." Emperor Vex received the news aboard his personal battlecruiser en route to human space. His normally imposing figure seemed to shrink as the reports continued to arrive. "Redirect the fleet," he ordered. "All forces return to defend the core worlds." His admiral hesitated. "Your Majesty, our forces are spread across too many sectors. We cannot recall them in time." For the first time in his 200-year reign, Emperor Vex felt true fear. Back at Nexus Prime, the battle station Eternal Vigilance broke apart under sustained human attack. Commander Ardax ordered evacuation as fires spread throughout the structure. "They don't fight like any enemy I've seen," he told his officers as they rushed to escape pods. "They adapt to our tactics faster than we can implement them." On the surface below, Imperial citizens watched their invincible protectors fall from the sky. Among them, members of dozens of subjugated species began to emerge from hiding, supporting the human invaders with ground-level sabotage and intelligence. Admiral Gray directed the fleet with calm efficiency. "Begin Phase 2, he ordered. Human dropships descended to strategic locations across Nexus Prime. They carried not just soldiers, but representatives from every species that had joined the human cause. This wasn't merely a military campaign. It was the beginning of a revolution. In orbit, Captain Rivera approached Admiral Gray with a priority message. "Sir, Imperial communications indicate the Emperor is recalling all forces to defend their capital world." Gray's expression remained stoic, but his eyes revealed grim satisfaction. "Then our primary objective is achieved. The Empire is no longer expanding, it's collapsing." Across 7 core worlds, the Empire's unbreakable grip began to loosen as human forces systematically disabled military installations while liberating oppressed populations. "Send word to Earth," Gray ordered. "Operation Thunderstrike successful. Preparing for final phase." The message that spread among the stars was clear. The Empire that had never known defeat was falling, and humanity was leading the charge. The Imperial capital world of Nexus Ultima glittered like a jewel in the darkness of space. For 10,000 years, no enemy had ever entered its star system. Its defenses were considered impenetrable. Layers of automated weapon platforms, minefields, and the Emperor's personal guard fleet of 300 warships. Now those defenses faced their greatest test. Emperor Vex stood in the Grand War Room beneath the Imperial Palace. Tactical displays showed the approaching human fleet, nearly 500 vessels of various sizes, many bearing the scars of previous battles. "How did it come to this?" he asked, his voice barely audible. High General Krell, one of the few senior commanders to survive the recent battles, stepped forward. "They united with the subjugated worlds, Your Majesty. Former Imperial citizens are providing them with intelligence, supplies, and even troops." The Emperor's eyes narrowed. "Traitors. All of them." "There's more," Krell continued reluctantly. "The humans have sent a transmission. They're requesting your surrender." "Surrender?" The Emperor's voice rose in outrage. "In 10 millennia, no Emperor has ever surrendered. They say they wish to avoid unnecessary bloodshed." The Emperor laughed bitterly. "Sentiment. Their weakness. Prepare all forces. We will show these humans the full might of the Empire." Aboard the EDF Determination Admiral Gray reviewed the Imperial defensive positions with his command staff. The holographic display showed the enormous concentration of firepower protecting Nexus Ultima. "Their entire remaining fleet is here," noted Captain Rivera, "along with defense systems more advanced than anything we've encountered." Gray nodded. "As expected, the Emperor can't afford to lose his capital. It would break the Empire's mystique of invincibility." "Sir," Communications Officer Patel interrupted, "we've received the Emperor's response to our terms." "Let me guess," Gray said. "He refused." "Yes, sir," rather colorfully. Gray sighed. "Then we proceed with the demonstration." He turned to the tactical officer. "Is Blackbird Squadron in position?" "Yes, sir." "Awaiting your command." Gray took a moment to consider what would follow. This would be the most important decision of his life, one that would affect countless beings across the galaxy. "Give the order," he said finally. At the edge of the Nexus Ultima system, 12 specialized human vessels detached from the main fleet. These ships carried a weapon developed specifically for this moment, a gravitational disruptor that could literally tear a planetary body apart. The target, Nexus Ultima's uninhabited moon. In the Imperial War Room, sensors detected the small squadron approaching the moon. "A diversion," Krell wondered aloud. "Ignore them," the Emperor commanded. "Focus all defenses on their main fleet." On the view screens, the human ships positioned themselves around the moon and activated their weapons. At first, nothing seemed to happen. Then, slowly, visible cracks began to appear on the moon's surface. "What are they doing?" the Emperor asked, confusion replacing anger. The answer came moments later as the moon began to break apart. Massive chunks of rock separated from the surface, floating away as the gravitational bonds that held the celestial body together were systematically destroyed. In less than 15 minutes, where a moon had once orbited, there was only a cloud of debris. Complete silence fell over the Imperial War Room. Admiral Gray opened a channel to the Imperial Palace. His face appeared on the main view screen, calm and resolute. Emperor Vex, he said without preamble. What you just witnessed was a demonstration. Our fleet carries 20 such weapons, capable of doing to inhabited worlds what you just saw happen to your moon. The Emperor stared at the screen, speechless for perhaps the first time in his centuries-long life. Humanity does not wish to destroy your civilization, Gray continued. But make no mistake, we will if we must. You have 1 hour to surrender and agree to our terms. When the transmission ended, the Emperor turned to his generals. For the first time, they saw something in his ancient eyes they had never witnessed before: doubt. Could they truly? He began. Yes, Your Majesty, Krell answered the unfinished question. Based on what we've seen of human warfare, if they say they can destroy planets, then they can destroy planets. The Emperor walked slowly to his throne and sat down heavily. 1 hour, he said. We have 1 hour to decide the fate of an empire that has lasted 10,000 years. On the determination asterisk, Admiral Gray stared at the image of Nexus Ultima on the main view screen. He hoped the demonstration would be enough, because despite his threat, he had no intention of destroying an inhabited world. Some lines humanity refused to cross, even in war. But the Empire didn't need to know that. The grand throne room of the Imperial Palace fell silent as Emperor Vex's senior commanders waited. 55 minutes had passed since the human ultimatum. The destruction of the moon had shaken even the most loyal Imperial officers to their core. High General Krell approached the throne cautiously. Your Majesty, we must give them an answer soon. The Emperor sat motionless, his ancient face unreadable. Then, unexpectedly, a younger officer stepped forward. Commander Lorne, head of the Imperial Intelligence Division. Your Majesty, Lorne said, her voice steady despite the breach in protocol. I have studied the humans extensively. They've never used their full destructive capability against civilian populations. They target military assets only. Are you suggesting the Emperor of 10,000 years should surrender based on your feelings about these primitives? High General Krell demanded. I'm suggesting, Lorne replied calmly, that the Empire cannot exist without worlds to rule. The humans have the capacity to destroy those worlds. The Emperor finally stirred. You speak treason, Commander. I speak truth, Your Majesty. An emperor who allows his people to be destroyed out of pride serves neither the empire nor its legacy. For a moment, it seemed the emperor might order her execution. Instead, he rose slowly from his throne. Leave us, he commanded. The room emptied quickly, leaving only the emperor and Commander Lorne. You believe I should surrender? He asked quietly. I believe you should adapt, Your Majesty, as the humans do. Aboard the EDF determination asterisk, Admiral Gray checked the time. 3 minutes remaining, he noted. Captain Rivera nodded tensely. Fighter squadrons are ready if we need to commence attack. Let's hope it doesn't come to that, Gray replied. The communications officer suddenly straightened. Sir, incoming transmission from the Imperial Palace. The main screen activated, showing not Emperor Vex, but Commander Lorne. Her uniform displayed the highest Imperial military insignia. Admiral Gray, she began formally, I am Supreme Commander Lorne of the Imperial Forces. Emperor Vex has been removed from power by unanimous decision of the Imperial High Command. Murmurs of surprise spread across the bridge. The Empire accepts your terms for immediate cessation of hostilities, Lorne continued. We request a meeting to discuss the details of a permanent peace. Gray studied her face carefully. And Emperor Vex. The former emperor has been placed in ceremonial retirement. His reign is over. 2 weeks later, representatives from 57 formerly subjugated species gathered in the Imperial Palace's central chamber, now repurposed as the meeting place for what was being called the Galactic Federation. Admiral Gray sat at a circular table with Commander Lorne, now Interim Prime Minister Lorne, and leaders from across the galaxy. The transition has been remarkably peaceful, Mox, the Kaldar resistance leader noted. Few expected the Empire to adapt rather than fight to the death. They learned from us, finally, Gray replied. Adaptation is humanity's greatest strength. Prime Minister Lorne nodded. 10,000 years of conquest taught the Empire only one way to interact with other species. In just 6 months, humans taught us another. The formal signing of the Galactic Federation Charter took place the following day. Its core principles were simple: autonomy for all worlds, mutual defense, and shared technology. The former Empire's vast knowledge would no longer be hoarded, but distributed to benefit all. Later that evening, Admiral Gray stood alone on a balcony overlooking the capital city. The lights of celebration filled the sky, beings of countless species celebrating together their first taste of true freedom in millennia. President Chen joined him, holding 2 glasses of Earth's finest champagne. They're calling you the liberator of the galaxy, Thomas. Gray shook his head. I'm a soldier. I did what was necessary. You did more than that, Chen replied. You showed restraint when you held the power to destroy. That's why they respect us now. Humanity's history is filled with war, Gray said thoughtfully, but also with peace after war. We know how to build, not just how to break. What happens now? Chen asked. We do what humans have always done, Gray answered, looking up at the stars where ships from 100 worlds now traveled freely. We explore, we learn, we grow. In a secure archive deep beneath the former Imperial Palace, a simple message was preserved, the first warning humanity had given the Empire before the war began. It contained just 3 letters that had changed the course of galactic history. Run. But no one was running anymore. For the first time in 10,000 years, the galaxy was moving forward together.